What's up, everybody? I know I've been out of the podcast game for a while. I wish I had a good reason, other than I don't. Have I had time? Yes. But I'm kind of one of those guys that if I don't feel like I'm going to do it 100%, then I'm probably just not going to do it. So, has there been things that I've wanted to try to articulate? Yes. But I can't come up with a good way to drive home a certain point or concept about what I want to articulate. So, I just don't do it. The other problem I run into too is if I can't give 100% in a block of time to something and I'm afraid something might interrupt it, I just don't even try. So that's personal problems. Nothing has nothing to do with anything other than my toxic trait is if I don't think I can get it done in a certain amount of time, then I'm just not going to do it. And then that turns into tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day. And then next thing you know, it's been 4 weeks since I've done a show. But to kick off 2026, I have a great one, and it's with Lindsey Klunder, who Lindsey and I know each other from working in healthcare. She's left the conventional healthcare space and is now part owner and director of one of the Gameday men's health clinic, two of the Gameday men's health clinics here in the metro, one in Ankeny, one in West Des Moines. Now, Gameday Men's Health is a chain nationwide. There are 400 some clinics. It is a hormone replacement wellness facility. Lindsey's, however, has been the number one Gameday men's health clinic in the country since February 2025, which is a testament to her work ethic. We used to run into each other in the hallways at Mercy all the time and then have conversations about podcasts that we've listened to. And when she was thinking about getting into the men's health wellness space, we had a lot of good conversations. And she was real inquisitive, always learning, always researching, always diving deep to make sure that she could deliver the best product to her clients that she can. And she's done it. Clearly, it's proven in the rankings. She's also responsible for improving the health of hundreds, if not thousands, of men in the metro, including a handful of local celebrities. So she was great. We've been trying to get together, connect since September. She's super busy. I am not. So that's how it worked out. But she was able to carve out an hour today to talk to us all things peptides, hormone therapy, men's health, why she's different than conventional, 100% data-driven, science-based, all that kind of stuff. So really good conversation. And she's pretty cool. I'm excited to kick off the year with this one. That being said, I had a big episode I was going to do at the end of last month with the recap and a bunch of the Spotify Wrapped and all that kind of stuff and give you a bunch of statistics and all that kind of just never happened. Like I said, I just couldn't give it to you the way that I wanted to. So that's where we're at. No idea when the next show is going to be, where it's going to come from. I know that this one is going to hit first of next week. I'm going to work real hard at getting it edited and we're going to go from there. So without further ado, Lindsey Klunder. Thanks, everybody. Work hard. Be kind. Bye. No, I can't. I can't see your face.
Why? Let me figure out how.
Is your camera? Oh, there you go.
It is.
Well, hey, look who it is.
Hey, I feel like I needed my lip stuff or something. This will work.
No, you look fine.
Thanks.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
You seem very busy.
Yeah, it's actually been not as many new patients today, but a lot of people walk in and want to talk. I did have a 2:00 and she wanted to talk about a lot, so that's why that took longer.
Did you say she?
Yeah.
So the men's health thing is not a real deal?
It is. I have a lot of women that do weight loss and peptides. So it's a lot of wives or family members of current patients, or, it's usually word of mouth more than anything.
Sure. So you do offer services for women.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you said the word peptides because how much time do you got, by the way?
I'm good. I don't think I have, let me double check my calendar. I don't think I have anybody else new today. So I don't think I have anything until, just got to make sure nothing got added on because that does happen. I am good until 4.
Goodness, we won't take that. We won't take that much of your time.
I'm good.
But we can talk. We can nerd out on peptides.
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to grab a couple of things that I have in case I need a reference. And let's see. Are you off? So you're well rested today?
This is my second day off. I had a night shift on Tuesday.
Did you sleep yesterday?
Nope,
Nope.
can't do it. I can't do it, man. I wish I could. I wish I was a napper,
Yeah. Well, you
but
had,
we're just not built that way, and I don't know what else to do about it other than I try.
right?
I fail more than I win. These naps that people take, they sound wonderful.
I
I
don't.
joke that I haven't napped in 12 years. I do doze off on occasion, but I don't really count that.
No. It's those people
No,
that
it
can
just
do the 20-minute naps on purpose that feel really good after they do it.
those people are savages, and that is
They
like a
are.
hack. That's like a light. If you can drink a cup of coffee before that, and then take a
Yeah,
20-minute nap,
that
and then
too.
wake up, you're like a new person.
Right? I know. I'm not.
I can drink the coffee part. I just can't. I just can't do the napping.
No, me either.
Um, so I try. I did a sauna and a cold tub, and that bought me a few hours of where I felt like human again.
Yeah.
And then middle of the afternoon, I really started to fade. And then I just went to bed at 9 o'clock last night, and basically didn't move till 4:30 this morning.
Yeah.
And now I'll go into the weekend. I'm fine today. Today's day number 2.
Yeah.
Uh, Same thing. Coffee, sauna, cold tub, workout.
Mm-hmm.
Douche.
Yeah. Has it been
Um,
really busy?
Not for us.
Really?
Yeah, the opposite of. There's nowhere to take people anymore. You know what I mean? Unless you want to go to Omaha or Kansas City, or I don't know,
Jesus.
it's not a places
Nobody,
to take sick people anymore.
nobody's got any beds?
No, they got plenty of furniture.
Really? No
They just
nurses?
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I was asking my friends that work that do ortho over at Methodist because they shut down all their surgeries, and I said, "Is it because there's no beds or no nurses?" And they said, "No, there's no beds." So I don't know if they still have nurses or what.
Yeah, I don't know well, everybody's yeah, you're full for two reasons, right? Either
Mhm.
you're at max capacity regardless of what you have available or what you currently have can staff, right? So it
Mhm.
doesn't matter if your capacity is 500 on a good day, it might be 200 yesterday and you still can't take people in.
Right?
And I just don't think people are doing the services that they used to do, and it's a big episode we could talk about on the healthcare
Yeah, I'm sure that's
deal. Um,
soapbox. Yeah.
right. Let's talk about you though.
Okay.
We got to let people know who you are, where you come from, how we know
Okay.
each other, and what you're doing now.
All right. Cool. Kind of like so where I started and stuff. Is that kind of what you're thinking? Okay, so started in the cardiac ICU in 2005. Oh, mercy forever. So did that for 14 years. Went back and got my master's. Worked for critical care, the physician group for 5 years at Mercy, and kind of just got to the point where it was getting harder to take care of people that don't want to take care of themselves. So I think that was the hardest part.
You did all this in the capacity of a nurse, or were you ever a nurse? Are you a nurse practitioner now?
Yeah. Yep. So I got my master's in 2019, and that's when I started working for pulmonary and critical care. So I did that, started working for them in January of 2020. So that was the beginning of my career as a provider was COVID in the
COVID.
ICU. Yeah. In the ICU. Yep.
Yeah,
So I learned how to do procedures with a gown and a paperon.
crazy. I don't mean to laugh, but I do. It's a
Well,
crazy
but
time.
that's how it started. Actually,
I know.
the hospital was empty for the first month or two, and then we were slammed for the next however amount of time. But so really, I got approached about doing the clinic in July of 23. Some friends of ours here in town, our kids have grown up together, have always had businesses around town, and we're looking at the Gameday men's health franchise. So reached out to me knowing with that I was a provider. I've had some side gigs in the past with nutrition and health and sales kind of. So reached out to me thinking I would be a good candidate. And at the time I said, I'm always up for another side gig. I can do that. So thought it would be a part-time. Yeah, I'll learn something new, and went to training. And then, so that was in July. They approached me. We opened our first clinic in West Des Moines in February of 24. And then we opened in Ankeny in March of 24. So during that year, I stayed at the hospital. I was a week on, week off there. So basically, I was here at the clinic all my weeks off. I did this part time kind of for the first year. And then January of 24 or 25, sorry, I started this full time. So it's been definitely a big change.
left the hospital completely and went into basically the what do you call the space that you're in right now? Functional medicine?
I think wellness definitely for sure. There's a component of functional. And I know that you've had an interview with Ashley Schultz before too, and we talk pretty frequently back and forth, kind of helping each other out. So I feel like I'm learning even more of the functional, but my training for Gameday was hormone. So it was the Hormonal Health Institute. So it was mainly hormones. So I've done that, and then I've done some other classes regarding peptides and things like that. But I think I incorporate some functional just because I do more, I don't treat cholesterol with statins, and I don't treat blood pressure with beta blockers and things like that. Instead, we look at ways to change your lifestyle so that you can get off those meds, or so you don't need them at all.
Is that the definition of functional medicine?
Probably. I mean, kind of getting, like I tell them, it's kind of getting to the bottom, or when I refer them out to somebody like Ashley, is I'll say, they're the ones that will get to the very bottom of your thyroid problem. Instead of putting a band-aid on your thyroid, they'll get to the bottom so you don't need a band-aid anymore, basically.
So we all know that conventional healthcare, conventional medicine is you go see your PCP, they draw the basic labs, and they tell you need to be on a statin or not be on a statin. Make sure you don't eat some bacon and wear sunscreen and go on about your life. So we understand the definition of conventional medicine. Conventional medicine would be what Ashley and what she does, right? So they do a deep dive into your labs. How do you fit into this? Your clinic, how do they fit into that? So somewhere in between, are you outside that box?
No, I would say kind of somewhere in between. So I do offer more functional medicine panels, and I let the guys know that I can help you interpret them so that I know if you need to be referred on and, have something deeper, like whether it's your thyroid or whatever. I can work with them on lifestyle changes. If the cholesterol comes back, we need to work on triglycerides or LDL or HDL. I can give them nutrition ideas and things like that. If they've got borderline blood pressure, we work on, do you need to lose some weight? Do you have sleep apnea? Do you have, basically dietary changes that we can make, look at what they're eating, their sugar intake, their insulin. I can test for insulin resistance. So just kind of lots of things there that I don't, like I said, I don't treat a lot outside of weight loss and hormones, but I can definitely do a lot of education on nutrition, exercise, lifestyle changes. And then if it looks like anything on the lab needs to be referred, I mean, I'm not afraid to use conventional medicine. I work with urology quite a bit. Obviously, this is a men's health clinic with hormones.
Sure.
And I don't hesitate to refer to urology. And I love talking to people's primary care physicians. I've had a couple guys who I've reached out to their primary care regarding, I tell them, I'm going to play nice in the sandbox with your doctor. I don't want to make this, I want your health to be better. So if we can work together, that's awesome. Plus, I like educating sometimes primary care physicians on hormones because there's a lot of misunderstanding about hormones still, as far as like the dangers and the myths and whatever of hormone replacement in men and women.
So I got two things on that.
Mm-hmm.
One, when you reach out to primary care providers, how are you received?
This most recent one a couple weeks ago was awesome. I mean, I called his clinic. I left a message. He called me back that day. We've talked a couple times just about, we shared labs back and forth after, a release of information, but he's very open-minded with hormone treatment. So he knows he doesn't want to do it. And he doesn't know how, but he's very open to guys doing it and he sees the benefits. So it was great because we could talk about this particular patient had kind of a chronically high PSA or prostate specific antigen and hemoglobin. So we could talk back and forth because I want to work with him. The same patient's going to see him tomorrow. And I sent the labs along to make sure he knows and has these. So, he can reach out if we need to work together.
Is he a younger guy or an older guy? And I'm talking about the physician.
The physician, he's probably, I think he's in probably 40s. So I do notice sometimes some of the older primary care physicians they still think that that testosterone causes prostate cancer, and sure. I'm not going to, when I have guys come back that say my primary care said I have to go off of this, my number was 301 and I'm fine. Yes. I'm like, well, I'm not going to fight with them. I told you the benefits and I'm not going to do anything that's going to hurt you. I wouldn't do this if it was going to hurt you. So,
which I think is the huge confusion right now, or anytime when we talk about healthcare is, and I've said this in my career many times, one doctor loves this, the other doctor hates this. And it's the same this. And so how do we combat, and I'm talking about as men, as people that are trying to explore their own health and wellness, when people want to do right. I want to ask my doctor, hey, should my 16-year-old son be on creatine?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the answer is yes, right? Unequivocally, the data supports it.
Right.
Yeah, but my doctor won't. My doctor says no.
Yeah.
He doesn't need
I don't
it.
need it.
He doesn't need it. Like, what's the point? Probably comes from a place of, I don't really know about what you've just asked me. So the safe
Exactly.
answer is
No.
don't do it. Right.
Exactly. And that's what I think happens most of the time with, whether it's testosterone, peptides, and I'll explain to them, it's not that they may not be necessarily against it, but they don't know what they don't know. That is not anything taught. Their hormones aren't taught anymore, probably in med school, than nutrition is. I mean,
which is crazy because, correct me if I'm wrong, we used to do hormone therapy, right? Back in the 70s. And this is my own thing. And I don't know this to be true. Isn't that about the time the pill came out?
With, like birth control? Yeah.
Yeah. Which was hormone therapy, technically. Like, you basically, so I get it. In the same token, I can understand where people are skeptical too, because it's a scammer world out there, man. We don't know what's real and what's don't. I mean,
right. Is
I
it
go
AI?
back to this.
Is it real? Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like, we understand that wellness and functional medicine is out to make a profit. That's how people make their livings. So I want to sell you something in order to do that. Mm-hmm. Well, if you've ever been duped by the man stack, like, you can see why. It's my favorite thing. Yeah. I've never taken it, by the way.
Well, I've got a lot of guys that, I've been taking this booster, and I said, have you? And I look at their numbers and I said, well, it's not working. Either that or it was real bad before you started,
I every time I hear that commercial, I'm just like, you shitting me, right? Testofen, really? That's a thing. And then but the problem is, the point I'm trying to make is, I'm not trying to make fun of people that do it. The people that do it and try to reach out to these places are really actively trying to do better.
Right. It's still effort.
They're trying to, right. They're trying to figure themselves out. There's something they're missing, whether it's energy or sex drive or physical ability or whatever it is. And they're just out there trying to get it. So they try these things, they don't work. And then they hear about functional medicine, or they hear about functional wellness. They have a storefront. Everybody's trying to make money. Well, shit, I don't know, is out there pandering to people about BPC 157 on Instagram. Well, guess what? He's not even selling the real shit, right? Yeah. So if somebody's out there interested in it and they say, oh, look, this guy is an influencer, he's selling this, I don't have to have a prescription. I don't have to have somebody like Lindsey Klunder, right, order it and have it sent to my house. Looks like I can get it on my own. Well, if you send it to ChatGPT, they're like, nah, that's fake. Don't do it. Okay, so now we're stuck in the same boat. So how do you get people past I guess I'll go visit Lindsey, and hopefully she's not pulling my leg, and hopefully I can see some sort of difference, because as a dude, it took me a long time to figure out that nobody out there is going to help me with what I'm after, right? They're not NutriShop, not GNC. There's nothing in those stores for me, right? Right. But the people like you are popping up left and right. But because you're not conventional and you're not traditional, how do people get over that sort of trust?
So let me plug this in real quick. So I think that's and it's funny because we've actually talked to some of our guys that do advertising for us with radio and podcasts.
I hear your commercials. Danger comes to you guys. Is that a HIPAA violation?
No, because he talks about it. And all of these guys, and that's why I said so, and I like people to know that too, is that the guys that are advertising for us, they're not full of shit. They're doing it. They're here. They're coming in. They're seeing us every week or so. I mean, there's lots of, if you listen to the podcast, the Iowa Everywhere podcast, a lot of those guys that do the Cyclone and Hawkeye stuff, I mean, they're talking about it and they're all with us. Danger, he's coming in with us. I mean, so all these guys, they waited until they saw benefit before and we told them we didn't want them to do, don't talk about it unless this works for you. If it works, awesome. So the guys that have been treated with us, they are doing very, very well. And they're actually, the ones that are talking about it, they're actually coming here. So that's not a HIPAA violation. They tell everybody. So that's awesome. But I was kind of talking to somebody the other day, actually, Andy Fales, and he talks about it too on their podcast, or on him and Keith and Andy. And he kind of said that too. He's like, I was explaining to him, I said, I want people to know that it's a little different because there's a lot of, clinics, TRT clinics or whatever popping up. And I wanted them to know that this is different, So the one thing different about us is we have a provider here almost all the time. So provider in-house, I would consider a decent amount of medical experience with 20 years of ICU. And I just feel like it's kind of a family owned. It's different because I care how they turn out. I have follow-ups with these guys myself. They all have my email address. They know that they have any issues that they have at any time. And I'm not going to put that out there if I don't believe in it, and if I don't believe that this stuff works, the peptides, I mean, my family's using it. My friends are using them. Our employees are all doing it. Like we're using this stuff too. We want to be able to speak to it and the validity of it and how it's helping and be able to tell our stories too. So I don't know. I guess I'd like to think I make it different by I want people to refer to their friends because this was a different experience here. I want them to feel like someone cares about them here, and we're not going to, we want to do everything to make their health as optimal as we can.
So take me through your typical John Doe client. What is your role? What is your particular role? Are you the medical director of that place?
We have a medical director. Dr. Brule is our medical director. I'm the clinic director. So I'm basically clinic director and part owner here at the clinics.
Good for you.
So I'm the one that's here 5 days a week. I kind of run the clinic while I'm here, basically, and when I'm not too. But I see the majority of the new patients. I do have another nurse practitioner who some of you might know, Marcy Wilson, started working with me. Been at Mercy for as long as I have. She works weekend package for neurosurgery still.
Yeah.
So she's working here with me 2 or 3 days a week, which that's been a great addition too. But yeah, so we almost always have a provider in the clinic in both locations.
So are you running both locations or are you running just the Ankeny one?
No, both. I go back and forth.
So you will go back and forth between the two.
Mm-hmm.
So earlier, I wanted to touch on this too. When you said, in your ICU experience, you're like, I kind of got tired of helping people that wouldn't help themselves. What did that look like?
So I think it was probably one of my last PRN shifts that I still haven't completely given up yet, but I am probably kind of have given up.
You're still on the books? You're still on the books?
I am, but I haven't worked since March, so I think I'm too outdated at this point, I think, to try to go back. I haven't officially cut the cord, but
you're gonna have a lot of IT emails when you come back.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not good. So anyway, I think it was one of my last shifts. It was seeing a patient in the ER that is, has been in there multiple times. You don't want to use the frequent flyer phrase, but I mean, it's a thing, and it's somebody who just continually comes in and then gets this Band-Aid and then goes home and does the exact same thing they were doing before, eating like garbage, not exercising. I mean, just this chronically ill population that I just, I tell my patients here, I said, I got pretty good at helping keep people alive, but I wasn't helping them live at all. And what I like is now I can help them change their lives. The guys come in here and they're ready to make a change. That's why they're here, and they're paying cash for it. So I think there's something to be said for that because you're pretty invested when it's coming right out of your checking account every month.
Yeah, that hits a little different when you're on a payment plan.
It does. And they want to, the effort is different. I'm seeing it, it's very different when it's a cash pay.
Are these people, are they repeat offenders? What I mean by that is they've tried whatever's in vogue now. It lasts about 3 or 4 weeks. And then they're like, I'm back to it. And then do you get to be the final straw is what I'm asking. Like when they come to you, is it about the time where they've been, I've tried the testosterone and it just didn't work. And I tried the 6-week weight loss challenge at my local gym and it worked for 6 weeks. And now here I am back again. And then so what gets them to you?
So it's funny. Somebody told me when I first started this, they said, the 2 things that'll get a man to the doctor's office is an ambulance and erectile dysfunction, which is true. So I will say that is one of the things that once that starts to happen, guys are like, okay, it's time to make a change. Something's not right here. But I would say there is a good percentage that have done that have tried the supplements. They've tried everything kind of, I don't want to say the cheap way, but they've tried to do it themselves. I have probably a good amount of guys that were high school and college athletes. And since then they have kind of fallen off, all their muscles all kind of turned fat. They've had kids. They're not putting as much effort into their own health anymore. And they're getting into their 30s and 40s and they're just like, okay, I got to get a grip here. I'm not going in the right direction.
Sure.
So we talk about a lot of things with that. And even like the guys that have done the gym stuff and the challenges and stuff, I can't believe how many people have never, ever been talked to about nutrition. Even my diabetics, we have conversations and they're just dumbfounded. Like, how come nobody ever told me this? I said, well, because there's no time when you go in. I said, when you go to your primary care doctor, they're probably seeing 20 patients an hour. I'm seeing one. So that's what you're paying for. You're also getting that when you have that cash pay. I'm not being rushed out to my next patient. So I think that's the difference too. The guys that have failed before is we can talk about nutrition and we can talk about how these things all affect your health and your strength and your stamina and your erectile function. I mean, being able to talk about all of those things.
It's funny you said my wife did the same thing. Like she sees me eat every day, and I'm not, an Adonis by any means, but I'm pretty healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And then she finally started paying somebody to tell her how to eat.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what?
Same as you.
It's real close, but I mean the concept's the same, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
other than the difference between men and women as far as how much of it we need, but reasonably so, sure. And God bless the nutritionist she's working with. She's great. She somehow is connected to my wife, and my wife gets it.
Mm-hmm.
She saw the results, so obviously
Mm-hmm.
now we're invested in this deal, and she's committed to it because she's seen it, right? And but it cost her. But it was an investment.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
And then in order to hear what you're not really hearing, you pay somebody to tell you the same thing, and all of a sudden they're like, "Oh man, I get it now."
Right. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about, so my average friend right now is my age, same deal, 20, 30 pounds overweight. Man, I'd really like to work out again, but I just can't get into it. Or they get into it for a few days and they're like, oh, I'm so sore. And then they take a week off and then they never get back into it. They have a couple beers every night to go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not chasing their wife around the house like they used to, or at least their wife ain't chasing them like they used to.
Mm-hmm.
And then I come out with, I got an idea. Why don't you just do this, this, and this? And they're like, tell me to F off or whatever. And there it is.
Yeah.
Or for whatever reason, my knee hurt. And I get it. We all got a thing. And the whole dad bod craze really pissed me off for a while. That's another soapbox.
Mm-hmm.
And we look at people and we say, man, I just don't have time. And I get it. Like, but what I've also found out is people hate getting preached about that kind of stuff. Like, the two shows that I've done on this podcast that have done the worst, and they're right next to each other on the very bottom. Occupational Athlete Part 1, Occupational Athlete Part 2, right? Because I really think people just don't want to be lectured.
Right.
And I think that's, well, now I got to face my own shit right now. I can't think the men that come to your clinic are any different, right? Where they didn't want to hear it from their buddies. But if I pay Lindsey to tell me, and Lindsey's like, listen, in whatever sweet voice you put it in, you're not doing it right, bro. You need to figure this out.
And it's not always sweet. Sometimes it's pretty brutally honest. I can tell people I've seen the other side. I've seen what happens if you don't fix it, and I'm not afraid to tell them how that ends up,
Because we've both seen that. It ends up terrible. It ends up me stuffing him in my helicopter to go see Lindsey in the cardiac coronary ICU, surgical ICU with a balloon pump.
Exactly. As long as they're not too big to fit in it, the helicopter.
Which is
I mean, so there's that.
Now so that whole discussion, I think, is if you get that big that you can't fit in a helicopter,
right?
It's bigger than your issue is bigger than what you're doing, and that I don't know that I can help, and you probably can't help it either. So let's say the typical guy comes in. I'm going to send you my buddy, and he's 30 pounds overweight, and he was a college athlete. Really wants to get back in the mix, but dang it, I own part owner of a company. I got 3 kids. I got a wife. I'm invested in these other things. But Jason said, come see you. How do you take it from there?
So when they first come into the clinic, the first thing we do is part of the consultation is we do draw your numbers. We check and see if testosterone's even a thing. If it's low, if it's, or if it's normal, whatever. So we draw labs as soon as you come in. Those are resulted in about 15 minutes. So we get a testosterone level, a PSA, prostate specific antigen, and a hemoglobin. Those would be the 3 things that would exclude me from doing any hormone therapy if they were abnormal. So meet with them when the labs come back. And in this particular person that you're describing, probably all the symptoms you just described. Testosterone's probably going to come back to 300. I would say most guys and that are not trying real hard just yet are going to come back like 200 to 400. Normal is going to be 300 to 1100. So it's a huge, ridiculous range. So I can treat guys based on symptoms, not just numbers. That's another benefit of not going through insurance, which we don't. So basically we talk about what are the things that caused it to be that way. So say if it does come back low and they're having these symptoms, so do they have sleep apnea? And a lot of guys, and that's just something that I'll mention, that's one of the things that we started doing as I'm working with Zoll. And our clinic gets nothing out of it, but we can order a sleep test, a home sleep test. And we've diagnosed severe sleep apnea in multiple people already.
At
So
home.
basically, yeah, they do a home test. I actually have, it's called the watch pat. So it's goes on your wrist and then on your finger. So it's like one night we place the order, Zoll sends them the home sleep apnea test kit. It all goes through insurance. Dr. Zorn here in town at the sleep center reads it. And this is a 10-day process from order to results.
Shut the front door.
No, it's amazing. I mean, and I just had a guy today that he's like, yeah, I know I probably need one. He's like, it's such an intimidating process to make an appointment and go into a room and be hooked up to electrodes and somebody watches you sleep. And I'm like, this is so simple. And
It would be
probably
terrible.
won't cost you a dime. So yeah, he's like, do it. Yeah. Hook me up. And I said, I don't get anything out of this. The only thing I get back out of this is a faxed result. That's it. No money, no nothing. It's just basically, it's another tool for wellness. Because we've seen it. What's untreated sleep apnea do? It's not good,
No,
Not
it's
to mention, it makes
terrible.
you feel like garbage. You're tired all the time. So I tell guys that, if there's sleep apnea, it doesn't matter how much testosterone you have, you're still not going to feel good. In fact, testosterone replacement often helps your sleep. If you sleep deeper, your sleep apnea is going to get worse. So that's something that we need to be aware of is, sleep apnea. So talk about different things. So other things that cause your hormones to be messed up are going to be poor sleep. So circling back to your first responders. So I have a huge amount of first responders. I have firefighter, paramedics, police officers, all of them that could do these crazy swing shifts in their 20s. And now they're in their 30s and 40s. And they're just like, oh my God, I can't do this. Like I'm exhausted all the time. I never feel good.
Which I would like to point out is probably not so this whole aging thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I get that that's probably a thing. But it doesn't matter. Like if you've been doing this for any length of time, that cumulative effect of sleep deprivation is probably what's doing it. It's not the fact that, sure, do I recover from night shifts the same as I did 20 years ago? Absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm defiant in the fact that I don't think it's because I'm older. It's because I've got this bank of sleep deprivation that is making it harder and harder and harder and harder to do.
Right.
And hear me say this. We are not closing business at midnight in the first responder world because we are open 24/7. So we will clearly never get to the point where we're not going to be sleep deprived.
Mm-hmm.
But God, there's a million things we can do better in the business, in the department, and that's a whole nother soapbox too.
Right.
But how important is it for these people to go? We can do the job. I can go on and I can miss a night of sleep a week, but that has an effect 6 months down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
If I come to you and in those times around that shift that I'm sleep deprived, if I'm not breathing for 30, 45 seconds at a time every so often in that thing, that really kind of affects my recovery on my off days, correct?
Right. Oh, for sure. Yeah. So so the sleep deprivation, well, then that's a spiral too. So it's kind of like guys kind of plug their battery in at night when they're sleeping. And that's when they regenerate their testosterone. You're highest in the morning, you decrease throughout the day. These guys, a lot of times, are never getting a full charge. So they're just never getting that. They're never getting replenished, or they're charging so infrequently that they're never getting a full charge. And it seems like some of them, and then granted, there's other things involved. There's not to mention sleep. You said weight gain, your body gains 20, 30 pounds. You lost testosterone to that, you lost testosterone to estrogen. So it's going to be lower. My guys that come in obese, sometimes they're less than 100. I mean, they feel terrible. And there's a reason they feel terrible. Now, is testosterone going to fix their problem? Not necessarily, but what it does do is the guys that have the motivation or they want the motivation, they come in here because they're like, I need to do something, but I can't get off the couch. Or some of the guys, they're like, I do, but my effort is just crap, so some of them will use testosterone therapy as kind of a catalyst just to get moving. I'll tell them, if you're on this for a year and you make a 180 with your health and you lose 50 pounds and you get back in the gym and then we wean you off, you're going to feel a lot better without it, a lot better than you do now. So it doesn't have to be a lifetime commitment, which is a whole nother thing that I can mention. But So, we talk about that. Do you need the motivation? Is your sex drive crap? I know this sounds, weird, but do you wake up with morning erections? And if they're like, God, no, not for months, not for years, well, then that's a problem. That's not normal. You should be having that. So kind of correcting those things, helping their sex drive, helping their marriage, getting their energy back up. So they've got energy after work instead of when they get home from work and just want to die on the couch when the kids are like, Dad, I want to play catch or do whatever. And Dad's spent. Dad doesn't want to do anything, and it gets them back
In there.
it gets them back there. It gets them back to like, I get home from work and now I want to engage with my family. And after the kids go to bed, maybe I still feel like engaging with my wife, so see a lot of really positive changes there. I mean, I would say the majority of my patients are consistently working out, now, and they might not have been when they started, but they are now,
Sure.
and that goes for weight loss too. And, regardless of people's opinions on the GLPs, I think they're very beneficial and I use them very carefully. My patients are, this is an every 4-week check-in. So they're held accountable. You have to be lifting. You have to be eating protein. We're not losing muscle. And I have an in-body scanner. We check that to make sure that that's not happening. So it's because the goal is to not be on these forever. It's to get you to your goal and then have a healthy lifestyle change that's going to maintain it. And I have 3 guys, I think right now that I have that are about at 100 pounds and they're doing amazing. The one guy he does not have one spot of saggy skin on his body 100 pounds later.
No way.
It's incredible. It really is, but he did it right. He did it absolutely right. So that's
Well,
really fun to see.
It warms my heart that you have a whole population of first responders.
I do.
I know that when I come off a night shift, man, I don't remember the name of it, but whatever hormone I have that makes me that allegedly tells me I'm hungry.
Your leptin.
Yeah, it's not right. I have to fight that thing, and then whatever hormone that says I'm full, way down. And so I have to really fight that all day, and damn near fast, pure stubbornness to make sure I don't cave into that. I want to talk about peptides. I also want to talk about GLPs, just because somebody asked me the other day what I thought of them, and I was like, listen, you want my opinion? I ain't mad at them. If we're mad at the world for being obese, and this is a tool to get them to where they want to be, why should we ever be mad at it? Right? Like if I can pick you up off the floor better because you're 30 pounds lighter on a GLP, why do I give a shit?
Right.
And it gets you back into the gym. It gets you to do those things. Exactly. I don't know what the long-term effects are. I've never studied that. I don't really care. But it's a peptide. So explain to us what peptides are.
So peptides are a chain of amino acids, usually less than 50 amino acids in a chain. So you get up over like 100 amino acids is a protein. So less than that is a peptide. So the first peptide was insulin, and no one's afraid of that. Everybody needs that. So basically it's just continued to evolve, and they work as messengers, and they go specifically to areas of the body and help activate different things. And a lot of times, like the way I explain it is it kind of takes things your body already does and do it better, so whether it's the HGH or human growth hormone peptides, we don't give people growth hormone. It stimulates, it sends a message to the pituitary to pump out some more, so your body does things more naturally. The anti-inflammatory peptides that go to the area of inflammation, they help with angiogenesis or formation of new blood vessels to the area to actually help healing. So not necessarily a Band-Aid, but sometimes helps with the healing process so that they avoid surgery, and that doesn't always happen. And that, it depends on if they've had imaging or not had imaging, or they know that something's torn up or not, or, I've had a lot of guys use peptides after surgery to help with healing. There's ones that help with collagen production and skin healing and wound healing, just all kinds of really cool things. And what's awesome is that I've not seen, there's virtually no side effects with these. And granted, there's not a lot of human research. Unfortunately, a lot of this it's animal research that they've done. There's probably, what my understanding is, I've read some stuff too, there's a lot more done in Russia. This is used a lot more in other countries where there's been a lot more studying.
Why does it seem like a fad now, though? Like, why does it seem like it's all the rage when this science has been around for a long time?
Right. I don't know how it kind of came up. If the GLPs, knowing that they're peptides, if that kind of opened up like, oh, peptides, and then you get all these influencers and, just a lot of the changes in the health and focus of, whether or not you're, you're a fan of RFK or not. It's brought some of this stuff to the surface a little bit, talking more about wellness and peptides and hormones. And, they're getting a little more attention now for sure.
So speaking of that, and I haven't kept up. This is all hearsay from like the podcasts and stuff that I listen to.
Mm-hmm.
Access to these peptides. It seems like it's a hot button topic at the Fed level.
Mm-hmm.
Big pharma is not getting a piece of this peptide pie,
Right.
and they're real mad about it.
Right.
And so they're going to make it real hard for the average guy to get some peptides, and they're going to go through our legislature to do it.
Right.
You got your finger on the pulse of that or no?
There are still many compounding pharmacies that will make the peptides. We work through a few different ones, but they will compound them. And it's my understanding is that it's a pretty low risk for them to continue to do it, even if the government were to slap their hand and tell them, no, you really shouldn't be doing that. So I think there's several that are still doing it, and it's beneficial. I've talked to other physicians that are even through Gameday that I've talked to about it. I said, these aren't FDA approved. Yes, we use them off label, but we use a lot of things off label, even in conventional medicine. So it's off label use. And there are some peptides that are FDA approved, but it's still off label use. Testosterone is approved, Sermorelin, PT141. There are different ones that are approved, but it's all still off label use. So you just have to be really careful, and you want to make sure that they're coming from a place in the United States, a place that's third-party tested. So that's what I would recommend for people if they do decide to do something online, is you're not really sure and there's no instructions. I've had people come in before too that said, I just got this vial. What do I do with it? I'm like, well,
that's actually a good point, because
I'm not doing that.
The research that I've done, I have access to peptides.
Mm-hmm.
And,
oh yeah, everybody
and
does.
hear me say, I am a huge believer in it. Like, I believe in. Have I taken any? No. Do I believe in it? Yes. But just like anything else, like it costs money, right? So every time you get a few $100 in your pocket, you're like, oh man, this BBC 157 is going to be mine. And then all of a sudden, bam, kid's battery goes out of his, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Right. Exactly.
Everything that I have access to says, looks like you're doing some research. Well, keep in mind that this is for research purposes only.
Right.
So I'm going to send you 500 milligrams of this stuff, and make sure you're researching responsibly.
Right.
Wink,
yeah.
Right. But they don't tell you, like,
they're not going to tell you how to mix it. They're not going to show you what dose to use. They're not going to. So that's what I tell people. I'm like, yes, you can go get it online. I said, but when you come here, you're paying for me to research it. So I have done the research. I've listened to the podcast. I've taken the class on peptides. I've read the book. I've done all these things, and I've tried to put together suggested protocols. Now, it's not, they don't have $1 billion worth of studies that tell you exactly how to dose them. But as far as that goes, the GLPs do have $1 billion worth of studies, and I still dose them differently, because I dose according to the patient, not according to a protocol. Yes. So I do that with everything that I dose, because it depends on the person. So that's what I explain to people too, is when yes, you can go get it online. A, you don't know exactly where it's coming from, and B, you have no idea how to dose it. So it's up to you. You kind of you get what you pay for.
Your opinion as a clinician, you think the GLPs are overdosed? You think people take too much? And I'm talking about the prescription from their PCP.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I have a good friend of mine who's been on a couple different GLPs, and I mean, there's no follow-ups. It's, here's your prescription, message me on the portal if you want to up your dose, and I'll see you in 6 months, if that.
Those people usually are getting
directions on anything. I said, did anybody talk to you about resistance training, or that you need to start lifting, or about your protein intake or anything? No. I'm like, well,
because the number one side effect is muscle loss.
Exactly. Unless you're actively maintaining it. And that's why I burn this into people, because that's your metabolism, and I tell people, like, if you're going to do these medications and you're not going to do it right, you're going to waste a lot of money, and you're not going to get healthy, and then you're going to gain it all back, because you burn your metabolism.
Sounds like a lot to me, like a 6-week challenge at your local gym.
Right.
Because they don't give you the tools to get into week 7. But when you talked about nutrition earlier, do you give nutrition advice? Do you have a nutritionist? Are you a nutritionist?
I'm not a nutritionist. I keep it really simple. So, like, I tell guys that I'm going to meet them where they're at. I mean, there's guys like they tell me what they do now, and we try to find something achievable, because I've told them, like, the best advice I can give you and the the best thing you can do is what you're going to follow through with, exercise, nutrition, and having these guys come in and trying to tell them to count their macros and, count their calories and do all these things. It's not realistic for them. They're not going to do it. So if I keep it simple for them, we just really simple tweaks that we can do in their diet. Like even talking about, some of them, they're not going to stop drinking. Okay. What are you drinking? What are you mixing your drinks with? Even little tweaks like that. Like, are you mixing with sugars? Are you mixing with pop? Are you mixing, what are you drinking for beer even? I mean, we just even little tweaks like that we try to find just better ways to lots of small changes that are sustainable.
What about the people? What about the people that are looking to get back into the gym? What kind of do you offer them? A plan, guidance, refer them out to a personal trainer?
I don't have necessarily a plan. I have a lot of resources that I reach out to just to kind of get help. Like one of my best friends is a sports dietitian, so I have her. My brother has done kind of amateur competitive bodybuilding for many, many years. So I have that population of guys too that are doing that, I have a lot of resources that I utilize for as far as nutrition goes, but I mean, I really kind of stick to basic protein goals, fiber goals, and really focus on keeping a low insulin level and a flat blood sugar curve. I mean, I think the continuous glucose monitor is an awesome idea, and I wish everybody could try it once.
Tell me again about those. Like you have to have a prescription for one of those. You can get them.
I got my first one. I bought my first one online. It was actually where Ashley told me to get it. I bought it online just for myself and wore it for a couple of weeks. And just to throw this out there, I thought this was so interesting and my patients can't believe it. So I wore it for 2 weeks and I eat generally pretty healthy. So I didn't have much for spiking with blood sugars and things. And I've told so many people the biggest spike I had in 2 weeks was Jimmy John's.
Really?
It's all that bread.
Yeah.
And people just can't believe that because it's made to look like a healthy choice. I said that was the highest blood sugar I had in 2 weeks. And that was a Jimmy John sandwich.
When you get those glucose monitors, it's yours to keep? Like, I know there's some of them.
Only lasts for 2 weeks.
That's so what's the caveat with that? Because it goes
into your skin. It's a little like needle. It goes into your skin and it stays there and it sticks to your arm. So it only lasts 2 weeks. So, but that's a pretty good picture of what's going on. And you usually can get 2 of them at a time. So even if you can wear them 2 to 4 weeks, I think everybody should try it because you see how your body reacts to sugar, and I explained to them what I've seen sugar do to, patients in the hospital. I mean, the insulin resistance, diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol, visceral fat, explaining that. And then like our in-body scanner will help measure that too, which is really cool. So we can see that change as people kind of get their health in check a little better.
Are people just looking for an upward, like a drastic spike, or what are they looking for?
Yeah, I think you want, so it'll give you it'll give you an average. It'll tell you, and you're supposed to like log in the app on your phone, like what you were doing at certain times a day. Or if you see that, oh my God, it went to 160. What was I doing? Or what did I eat? Was I stressed? Was I, what did I, you're supposed to kind of log your meals in there during that time so you can see what your body does with different foods.
Is there a metric there, like you don't want to get, like you're going to have a natural increase, obviously, anytime
right.
you eat. But is there a ceiling that you don't want to get above?
I don't know that there necessarily was. I suppose that would be like if people probably kind of check in with a physician after they do it or a provider of some kind to just look at the trend and look at that. I mean, depending on what you eat. I mean, if any of us ate just a brownie or a cupcake in the middle of the afternoon on an empty stomach, we're probably all going to spike, close to 200, but trying to let them know how to eat so that doesn't happen,
I think people would be surprised too, like the hidden stuff that they think there's, this is probably pretty good for me. And then all of a sudden I know that I'm guilty of it. My A1C is on the high side of normal for a guy that I think that I eat pretty good. But I think the reality of it is if I had one of those glucose monitors on it, I'd be like those little healthy treats that I give myself that I've earned, I would imagine that those are probably the culprit of said spikes, I'm sure.
Right. And late night snacking. There's a lot of that we try to kind of get around. And the GLPs help with that because it takes away that craving.
One of my jokes is what I like to do is I like to eat real good all day long. Right? Just nut my macros and just hit it. And then I like to binge eat before I go to bed and then wake up the next day and bitch about not losing weight because I've done that for the last 2 years. Like
Because you stored it all. You stored it all when you went to bed.
I hit it, but I hit my numbers, man. Like I hit
Mm-hmm.
this thing. Right now, I'm in a super good spot. By 8
Mm-hmm.
o'clock tonight, I will have had too much peanut butter and way too many dates, and I will go to bed tonight, and I'll wake up and just piss and moan that I'm still chubby.
You're not
Speaking
alone.
of which, I got my eyeball on a peptide that I'm interested in to help with that. It's called 5-amino. You ever heard of it?
I have. I haven't used it yet. I haven't had anybody use it yet, but I have heard of it.
What are your top five? Well, like, what are your? Tell me about the. I assume the top hormone you prescribe or therapy you do is testosterone, obviously, because you're
Right.
mentioning.
Yeah.
Is there any that succeed that? Any
No.
hormones that come in behind that?
No, the testosterone is, I mean, first and foremost, that's what we do. And then the peptides after that. But as far as, the BPC is huge. The HGH peptides I use a lot of, sermorelin and the likes, and just different things like that. Guys that are looking just kind of to be more youthful, The copper peptide is really good. Women like that. NAD is huge, and that's not a peptide. NAD has gotten really popular for cellular energy, mental sharpness, clearness. I have a few people that have started with methylene blue, that was all new for me, because I've seen methylene blue used in one setting in my career and
Yeah,
trying to keep people alive that were almost
same place I saw it.
surgery, right?
Yeah,
So, and they're little doses in little troches that people take. So there's lots of, the cognitive peptides, the ones that you can use for brain health. I mean, the CMAX and the Solank, and I mean, there's so many cool things that are, I don't know. I don't even have time to try them all, and I trying to use all these different ones because it's like if I can make anything better, why not?
you can use multiple peptides at once, correct? Yeah. What is the normal timeline for somebody that comes in? Day one, I show up and say, "Hey, here's the deal. I'm on this. I'm interested in this 5-amino thing. I want to drop this 10 pounds I've been trying to drop for 2 years. I got some other things I'd like to improve in life. Here we are in January. When do I start seeing results?"
Kind of depends on what peptide. So, like the testosterone, when I have people using that on higher doses for the visceral fat loss, I mean, that can take 3 months or so. When you're doing the GLPs, obviously, it's usually a lot quicker because you go into a calorie deficit, very anti inflammatory. So, they get a lot of those positive effects with inflammation being kind of gone out of the body, joint pains better. But as far as some of the other ones, it takes longer because you're counting on your body, especially like the HGH peptides, you're counting on your body to make more growth hormone in order to achieve the kind of the trickle down effects of weight loss, muscle building, fat burning, energy. Your body's got to make the growth hormone and then your body knows what to do with it. So usually recommend a minimum of 3 months to try to get the max effect, to know for sure if this is working or not.
Are they coming in and getting their injections, or are you teaching them how to do it, or are you just doing oral?
No, the only oral I have is BPC can be oral. There's another one, Sloop, SLUPP is another one used for kind of weight loss, metabolism. That's oral. So there's a couple that are, most of them are injectable. Most of the peptides are done 5 to 7 days a week with just an insulin syringe. So just very tiny, just little subcutaneous injections. So they usually do them 5 to 7 nights a week or days. Testosterone is, the majority are once a week. I have a lot of guys that are dosing multiple times a week, smaller doses now, that will do those at home. But for the peptides, typically everybody does those at home. They're just insulin syringes, so they're not as intimidating, especially the ones that you take 5 nights a week.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that's probably some of the pushback too, is they got to shove a needle in their skin, which
Right.
the push. We'll wrap this up. We're getting about that time, and I didn't think that we were gonna. I can nerd out on this stuff all day long.
I know.
I think this is great. I do. I really do. Some of the pushback I get sometimes is, well, listen, man, you're not a nutritionist. You're not this. You're not that. You get your information off the internet. Blah blah blah. I get it. Nobody wants to believe that anything actually works. I'm a cynic myself, naturally suspicious and distrusting of most people and things and voodoo and all that kind of stuff. Give us some valid resources that people can go out and start researching, people, podcasts, documentaries, books, whatever you got in your on your bookshelf, that people can go get in on this thing and then go, man, these two, they might be onto something.
Okay. So I have referred a lot of my guys that were pretty new to peptides to the Huberman Lab. Andrew Huberman did a great podcast last year. I think it was in October when his peptide podcast came out. I got so many messages like it's here, and it's so good. And the reason I like it is because it's very objective. So it's just very objective about peptides. He's not trying to talk anybody into using them. It's just a very objective podcast. He does a second one with Dr. Craig Conover. Dr. Craig Conover's done peptides in his practice for many, many years, and he's amazing. So Huberman also did a podcast with him. So there's two there with Andrew Huberman. And then Dr. William Seeds wrote one of the peptide books that's very informational too. And he's kind of I don't think if he's the father or godfather of peptides. He was an orthopedic surgeon. So he's got a pretty interesting take on peptides as well. And so it's interesting. And he started using them because they worked. I mean, he was doing these orthopedic surgeries and tendon, ligament, soft tissue, bone, and saw the healing benefits of all the peptides. So his book is pretty good too. So that's been one that I've read. And then I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to Peter Attia. I listen to Brecca, all of those. I mean, I listen to there's one called the TRT Dad, which is actually, it's entertaining, but it's also very informational. It's a guy that started TRT in his 40s and his provider is on there with him. So it's pretty interesting. If you don't know anything about it, they kind of hit all the topics about testosterone therapy if you haven't, for guys that want to know a little bit more about it. And then I just recommend the Urological Association site. I mean, they address testosterone therapy very well. But yeah, as far as the peptides go, it is a lot of podcasts and things like that. And it's a lot of anecdotal evidence.
How long do people usually stay with you then? So I come in January, typically, and I would imagine people drop off at their own rate, but it's a monthly.
So it's a membership. We do a membership model. So we don't nickel and dime for labs. And I mean, obviously, if you do additional labs, like the functional labs, those are going to cost extra. But like the general testosterone labs, your treatment, your office visits, I have a couple guys that come in and meet with me probably once or twice a month just because they want to check in. And that's just part of it. So guys either chose to take advantage of those services or they just kind of sail and they're good doing their own thing. They can get a hold of me if they need me. But yeah, it's an every 4-week membership that includes everything. So peptides are a little bit different. You can do a membership for peptides too. Otherwise, you can just kind of cherry pick whatever you want to try here and there.
So it's not a cookie cutter program. Like
No.
not everybody gets the same therapy, basically.
Right. Exactly. So it's all very kind of tailored to how they're feeling or what's going on. And a good portion of our guys that are on hormone therapy, they're in here once a week. So we probably have 100 guys in and out of here every day that are coming in just to get their shot for the day or for the week, which is cool. They like coming in. They like we can see how they're doing. They can let us, if they need anything, we can help them. So yeah, it's a revolving door, but it's also a lot of fun.
Do you do anything? Do you do like hydration therapy and all that other Invoke stuff?
We do. So we don't do, it's not gotten real huge, but we do offer IVs. So we kept our menu pretty short, so hydration, Myers cocktail, immune, IVs. So really it's kind of those big three: immunity, hydration, hangover, that kind of stuff. Wellness. Stuff. Yeah. So we only offer like 3 or 4 things, but yeah, and very reasonable. Just make an appointment like any other time. We've got an IV room and
are you taking new clients?
Absolutely.
How do people get a hold of you?
So you can call the clinic. So Gameday Men's Health here in Ankeny in West Des Moines. So the phone number is 293-7300, 515, looking up on the internet. We have the 2 here in the metro are owned by the same people, us. And then there's a third one in North Liberty, Iowa City, and that's a different owner. But there's 460-ish clinics in the country and Canada right now.
Wow.
And I will say we've been the number 1 clinic in the country since February of 25. So I am pretty proud of that. And I feel like part of that is because we've done things different,
The Gameday chain itself or your particular Gameday?
Our particular clinic out of 460 has been the number 1 clinic in the country since February of 25 here in Ankeny, Iowa.
No way.
Yeah, even with the corporate stores that opened in California in, years before. So client-wise, we're the busiest.
So that's the metric, is how many clients you have?
Yeah, clients and revenue, both.
Sure.
But
yeah, good for you.
Yeah, we've been. So, it's cool because I think it means people trust us and they refer their friends here. And, I like that because that's that's my work ethic too, is I want people to feel comfortable and feel safe and be proud of
I was
being
going
here.
to say, don't sell yourself short, because that's clearly a testament of the work that you're putting in, right?
I hope so. I hope so.
I've sent a couple buddies
I
to
know.
your place, man, and they loved you, just
Yeah.
like I knew they would.
That's
It's
good.
nice
And
to know
we
you.
do have a discount for first responders. So make sure to mention that if you do come in. If any of the guys come in, there is a discount. I know we have a lot of flyers and things around the metro at different police stations, fire stations, things like that. And another thing I'll mention is if there's anybody that works at one of those places, we're going to start more this year, like coming out and doing, if you want us to come out and like do a lunch,
Yeah.
and I can answer questions if guys have. So I would be the one that would come to. We'd bring lunch to whatever group that may be and just talk to guys about health and wellness and answer any questions they might have about therapy.
I can't believe that you can find time to do that, but
Yeah. Well, Marcy starting helps.
I think the sleep apnea thing is going to be, and this was something I was unaware of. Like, I know that it exists, right? But you just thinking it exists in morbidly obese people, right? Not in
Right. And that's not the case. I mean, the guy
that's
I
not the
saw
case.
this morning has almost, I mean, very minimal body fat, but he's like, yeah, my wife tells me I wake up gasping. And I'm like, you probably need to be checked, you know.
Or maybe she's trying to smother him with a pillow.
Maybe I didn't ask how their relationship was.
You ask him how much he's worth.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
We're going to wrap it up. Stay on the line real quick if you got a minute, and we'll
I
just wrap
will.
up after that off thing. But I appreciate you taking the time. I know you're busy. I love what you're doing. I was a big fan when you said you were doing it part time and you were doing it 7 days a week. And you were nerding out on the same podcast I was nerding out. So when I got to run into you at the hospital and have an actual good conversation with somebody, I missed that, by the way.
I know. I do. I miss the people. I do miss that. I don't miss the job necessarily, but I definitely miss my people.
Well, you're clearly a higher calling, a bigger purpose. You seem fulfilled. You're doing a good thing for men and people and society and the world. So God bless that.
Well, thank you. And thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Let me talk to you for a second, and then we'll tell
All right.
everybody bye. Bye,
Sounds
everybody.
good.
Hey guys, thanks again for listening to another episode of the Shift Change Podcast. I need to ask if you would leave a rating. I think that it helps people who are new to the podcast find it quicker. It doesn't do me any good, but it does help other people that are looking for the Shift Change Podcast on Spotify or Apple. It just comes up quicker the more ratings that you give it. Whether you give it a 2 or a 5, it doesn't make a difference. It just helps other people. If you need to get a hold of me, contact me via my email, the show email, which is talkshiftchange@gmail.com. Or you can message me on Instagram at talk.shiftchange. At talk.shiftchange on Instagram. As always, thanks for listening. I could not have imagined how well this podcast has been received. So, as always, I appreciate it. Work hard, be kind.